All right, let's get started. And look, let me from the very beginning, let me acknowledge Commissioner Adrian Garcia from Precinct 2 from Harris County. Good to have you, and good to see you again, and good to be partnering with you on this particular endeavor here. And then, of course, I want to just acknowledge my council members, Councilmembers Gallegos, Councilmember Robertson, and Councilmember Cisneros. And then we've got some outstanding members from the county that will be here, and Commissioner Garcia can certainly acknowledge them. And then, of course, there are a number of folks that will be mentioned during the course of this presentation. Look, welcome to City Hall, and thank you for joining us for this announcement. I'm joined by, of course, again, Harris County Commissioner Adrian Garcia, Susan Christian, Director of the Mayor's Office of Special Events, and Perry Turner, Harris County Deputy County Administrator for Justice and Safety. And later in this news conference, we will introduce some other key individuals as well. Today, we're announcing the formation of the City of Houston and Harris County Special Events Task Force. Our city and county have experienced tremendous growth over the past 20 years, and during this time, Houston has developed into an events city. We have expanded our locally produced events, increased the number of touring shows, and we continue to win and host nationally and internationally competitively bid events. The Special Events Task Force is being created to review and make recommendations to improve coordination, communication, protocols, and permitting requirements in Houston and Harris County.
Keep it nearby, man.
Yeah. Okay. Live events are an important industry, and nationally they contribute over $877 billion to the economy and make up 4.5% of the gross domestic product. This includes thousands of events and, more importantly, staff and their families right here in Houston, Harris County. The COVID-19 pandemic devastated the live events industry, but as you know, events are well on the way back in Houston and throughout the world. And through my Office of Special Events alone, annually, we manage nearly 1,000 events, representing over 2,000 event days and attended by more than 10 million people. We are a city that is known for producing fun and safe events of magnitude, as well as neighborhood events that inspire and reflect the diversity that is Houston. Even with all that we have accomplished, we know that the city and county can do better. The line of demarcation between the city and county properties is invisible to the public. Together, we can build upon our individual achievements by working more collaboratively through our governmental processes, permitting, coordination, and communication. To that end, both Commissioner Garcia, who is representing his associates at the county, and I have created this joint task force to enhance events that require collaboration and coordination of government resources and services. Our decision to form the task force is about looking to the future and not back on any one incident. We realize that by working together and by bringing together many of the best individuals in event planning and safety, we can and must form stronger alliances. At the end of the day, we want to make sure that all agencies are partnering at every major touch point to produce great events, and that people who attend the events know that we're working together from the moment the event was first planned. Existing policy, procedures, and requisites will be reviewed, as well as industry standards and best practices to enhance operational management and other event disciplines. Commissioner Garcia and I have selected 10 industry leaders to serve on the Special Events Task Force, Each member of the task force brings individual expertise in various disciplines within the events industry. I have appointed Susan Christian, a director of my Office of Special Events, to serve as co-chair of this task force. The next two individuals appointed represent the City of Houston's commitment to public safety and emergency response. Troy Fenner, Chief of Police, Houston Police Department, and Sam Pena, Chief of the Houston Fire Department. Additionally, I have appointed two national leaders in the events industry with extensive knowledge of event safety and production. Stephen Adelman, Vice President of the Event Safety Alliance, and Rob McKinley, co-founder and president of LD Systems. And at this time, I'd like to bring up Precinct 2 County Commissioner Adrian Garcia to say some words and announce the members of the task force selected by the county. Commissioner Garcia, it's good to be with you again.
Likewise, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, members of council, and thank you to the members of the county that are here and distinguished members of public safety from the city of Houston. And Mayor, let me just say, while you were catching your breath there, I just want to say, city folks were flipping coins and doing rock, paper, and scissors in case you needed resuscitation. But the county was ready to jump in. I'm just going to say that. But to that end, let me just say that I'm proud to be once again partnering with Mayor Turner and the city of Houston, as we should. The county and the city are it's home. It's our home, and we care about everything that takes place here. However, as the mayor has touched on the significance, the economic benefits and residual to when events are brought to our region, it is important that we also look forward to ensure that all places, including the unincorporated areas of the county, have the same type of attraction. So I'm excited about what could be the outcomes of this endeavor. And again, I want to thank Mayor Turner for your willingness to collaborate with the county, Judge Lina Hidalgo, Commissioner Rodney Ellis, Commissioners Ramsey and Cagle are also grateful for this opportunity. And in the aftermath of a terrible tragedy, it's not uncommon for there to be confusion. However, having worked my fair share of major events, I know that things can go sideways pretty easily, but it's important that we do and have everything and all procedures in place to ensure that things are rectified as quickly as possible. But it's also important to have established a set of principles and guidelines for how to put on events, establish standard operating procedures, and create new best practices going forward, looking to the parts of our country, other parts of the world potentially, for how they do things and to ensure that we're seeking the opportunity to learn. And as Houston and Harris County continue to attract more and more attractive events to draw people to our area, we need to make sure that we have the best possible plans in place. So I'm proud to announce my nominees and the nominees of the county to this task force. First, representing the Harris County Sheriff's Office will be Major Ralph Nelson, who serves as the Homeland Security Bureau Major for the Harris County Sheriff's Office. Major Nelson began his career in 1984 as a U.S. Army military police officer, and he has served in the U.S. Army for 3 years, rising to the rank of sergeant. After serving his country, Major Nelson joined the Sheriff's Office in 1990 and has held various roles in the organization during that time. Proud to have worked with him when I served as sheriff as well. And then we also have Ryan Walsh, started with the Harris County Sports and Convention Corporation in February of 2017 as Director of Projects and Capital Improvement, and was appointed Executive Director by the Board of Directors in May of 2018. The corporation was created by Harris County Commissioners Court to oversee, maintain, manage, and develop county-owned NRG Park and it includes NRG Stadium, NRG Center, NRG Arena, and the NRG Astrodome. As Executive Director, he is responsible for the oversight and the operation of NRG Park in both day-to-day operations and long-term development. And then we also have, Houston, when you say Houston, you say rodeo. And so it's important that we also include Mike DeMarco. He is the Chief Show Operations Officer for the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. His responsibilities are the day-to-day operations of the facility, including safety and medical, security to include law enforcement planning, oversight, cleaning, facility grounds, staffing, traffic control, transportation, busing operations, and carnival operations. I don't want that job. It's a lot. And then our own chief, very proud of her work and her leadership, Chief Lori Christensen, is the fire marshal of Harris County, Texas, third most populous county in the United States. Fire Marshal Christensen is a graduate of the University of Houston downtown with a Bachelor's of Science in Criminal Justice and a Master's of Science in Criminal Justice Leadership and Management from Sam Houston State University. Go Bearcats. She is an accredited fire marshal, a certified fire protection specialist, a master peace officer, and a master firefighter. I'll put her up against Chief Peña any day, Mayor. And then finally, the co-chair that I've appointed to this world-class task force, and I think that is reflective of the folks both Mayor Turner and I have announced. Brand new appointed Deputy County Administrator of Justice and Public Safety, Perry K. Turner Sr. Mr. Turner brings more than 30 years of experience in law enforcement and security operations in public, private, and education sectors. Most recently, he led the Houston field office of the Federal Bureau of Investigations as special agent in charge since 2014. Again, having the pleasure worked with him when I was sheriff of the county. Directing daily operations, including all national security, criminal investigative programs, operational, administrative, financial, and security functions. Mr. Turner's exceptional exceptional experience and dedication to public safety have prepared him to drive Harris County's ongoing efforts to enhance public safety and reform the criminal justice system in support of the 4.7 million residents of Harris County. I won't go into his highlights of his career, just to say that they include many, including overseeing a Super Bowl event, MLB World Series, and he was part of the Hurricane Harvey recovery and response. I would like to invite Mr. Perry to share a few words, and then we'll follow you, Mayor Turner. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Everybody, good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to thank Mayor Turner and Commissioner Garcia not only for inviting me to be part of this task force and to continue to serve the citizens of Harris County, but also on the third day of my job, participate in a press conference and having a speaking role. So I think that's payback for me being the agent in charge of the Houston field office for 7 years. But as Commissioner Garcia mentioned, my former office and my former role have a lot of experience working especially event management, sporting events, weather events, but simply could not do our job without robust partnerships with Houston Police Department, City of Houston, the Sheriff's Department, Constable's offices, and also the various local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies. So simply put, in this new role, I look forward to continuing to enhancing the strong partnerships and relationships and leveraging my knowledge and experience to add value where needed. And I want to thank in advance all the committee members for their support and partnership in this endeavor. And lastly, I would like to introduce my co-chair, Ms. Susan Christian. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Susan Christian, Director of the Mayor's Office of Special Events. And first, thank you, Mayor. I appreciate you and Commissioner Garcia for having the vision to improve the collaboration between our city and county governments in this city already known for great events. I am honored to co-chair with Perry Turner, who I've known for years and respected for years. Throughout my career in this events industry, I have seen how gathering people together in a shared positive experience is a strong part of the fabric that we experience, and a strong part of the fabric that strengthens our neighbors and our city. Those of us who develop policy and procedures for events understand the importance of transparency in governance and the fundamental need to address scalable processes to ensure that events of all sizes meet code and are safe while providing an overall entertaining experience. This task force will take an in-depth appraisal of current special events governance, procedures, and permitting in both the city and the county to ensure that our approach is coordinated, communicated, and forward-thinking. Event governance must be based not only on historical experience, but also nationally recognized best practices and safety standards. Our policies must again be scalable relative to the size and the inherent risk of events. The task force will review event disciplines and staffing standards to meet the expectations of the event scope and type. We will take into consideration the role of government authority and the responsibility of the private event producer. We will review the safety standards of how events are set up and operated, logistics inside an event footprint, as well as evaluate the impact of events on the surrounding neighborhoods. An important goal of the task force will be to improve interagency communication and early collaboration by ensuring that both agencies have a seat at the table when planning events that cross jurisdictions. Clear and timely communication ensures inclusive and knowledgeable planning for events. I've been so fortunate to work with the city with incredible event professionals across our city departments. And so I really look forward to joining our friends. I mean, shoot, people confuse Lori and I as distant cousins, Lori Christensen and Susan Christian. But look, we've worked together for years. We've collaborated on some of the largest events that have been produced in the nation. And we've done a good job. We will work on improving those successes and mostly including or improving how our policies interrelate. Mayor Turner spoke of the growth of Houston over the past 20 years. This city that once was the definition of urban flight has in one generation become an example of central city growth, population diversity, and economic opportunity. With this growth, events will continue to flourish and be an important part of the civic experience. I look forward to working with all the members of the Special Events Task Force to develop recommendations for meaningful improvements to special events governance and operation. Thank you. Mayor?
Thank you, Susan Christian, and thank you to Perry Turner. Let me just say from the very beginning, before we turn to questions, other than our height, Perry Turner and I are not related. So we are not related. But to sum it up, and I guess in a sentence, the goal is to create between the city and the county a seamless system of coordination, communication, protocols, and permitting requirements as it relates to special events. That's the goal, and I think we've got some outstanding individuals, Commissioner, that can help to come up with those recommendations. Having said that, we're open for a few questions.
Hi, Mayor. I know you said this is about looking forward and not back or at any one event, but it's hard to sort of imagine this task force without considering the Astroworld tragedy. Did that tragedy directly result in this task force, or how did it influence the thinking in forming the task force?
Well, certainly. I think any one of us would be dishonest if we say it didn't precipitate it. So certainly it did. I think when you have to recognize what has taken place And then you've got to make sure that we review our practices, our coordination, permitting, touch points to make sure that we make all of our events as safe as they can be going forward. So certainly that was the genesis, I guess you can say, for this task force. And now this is an opportunity to improve on that coordination between the county and the city.
And do you have any logistic details to share about, how often this task force will meet, for how long, when they're expected to make the recommendations about improvements?
I'm going to defer that to Susan Christian and Perry Turner. They've already been having some communications already.
We have, and we're going to launch after this meeting. The task force members were just appointed by both the mayor and Commissioner Garcia. However, we have had general conversations about meeting monthly. We all have quite a schedule, but this is an important cause, and we look forward to bringing all of these experts together and having a seamless set of policy, and also to incorporate from the very beginning, as the mayor said, the very beginning of these events, especially these events of magnitude that are coming into the city, that we're all around the same table and have a voice.
And Susan, do you have just a timeline for when you imagine those recommendations coming out, or is this sort of an ongoing, indefinite sort of thing?
We do not know. Do you have any idea? we need to meet and come up with a timeline. We've not done that yet, but our goal is to meet monthly.
And if I can add, it certainly is just to move as quickly as they can, because one thing about Houston and Harris County, you have one of the largest counties in the country. What is it? Third largest, and of course we're the fourth largest city. So the events are going to keep coming. Okay, it is a large part of who we are. So the events are not going to stop. So the task force, and you've got knowledgeable individuals with a great deal of experience, and so the goal is not to drag this out, but to meet and then to come forth with definitive recommendations, so that at the end, again, the goal at the end is that when it comes to special events, then everyone, those who are coming, promoters, you name it, general public, can see a seamless system between the county and the city and the county. Okay?
Mayor,
Any other questions, sir?
Mayor, I know you said that a lot of logistics still need to be worked out, but can you give us an idea if, in your estimation, if this would have made a difference during Astroworld, and if you can, just give us an idea for family members to kind of break it down to them how this would change some of the planning that goes into it.
Well, I think it is important, and oftentimes you hear the city, and then you hear the county. Okay. But what is it, for example, when there are events in the city that are also in the county? Okay, there should be a seamless operation when it comes to the coordination of these events, and then I'll yield to Commissioner Garcia to add a seamless coordination. The touch points should be by the city and the county, for example, at the very beginning, from day one, when people are seeking to do events. Both the city and the county, in terms of the systems, should be at the table with certain requirements, and those touch points should be at every step of the way, okay? Because, quite frankly, we have to function as one, okay? Which means that the system should be as one. So I think it will make the system so much better for those who are seeking to do events in the city and the county, and at the same time for those of us who are charged with overseeing these events and making sure that they are as safe as they can humanly possibly be. And in order for that to occur, there should be no room for air to go between the city and the county on the operations. Okay, so that's the goal. That's what this committee has been charged to do, and not just look to what is taking place at the county, what is taking place at the city, but worldwide. What are best practices in holding the events from the very small ones to the very large? Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. And let me just also say it this way, and a little bit to your point about what to say to families. Both the mayor and I are daddies. And I know that whenever my daughter wanted to go somewhere, so I can't help but to be worried. I want this task force to resolve concern of parents throughout our region, that if they're coming to an event, whether inside the county or inside the city, that they know that there has been a great deal of thought put into the safety and well-being of all attendees at these respective events. So to families, that's number one goal, is to make sure that they can worry about violating the curfew, they can worry about other things, but not worry about going to an event in the county or in the city. And then also, from my standpoint, the most significant and recognized venues for major events are inside the city of Houston. So the county doesn't get to participate in that kind of activity on a regular basis as the city does. I want to make sure that we learn from our neighbor and that we bring over the best practices already established inside the city. But as the mayor said, this town has been in the pursuit of Olympic events for years. One day we're going to land it. And when it comes here, we will be ready because of this task force. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Mayor still had a little scratchy throat, so he's going to allow me to say a few remarks in Spanish. Gracias, buenos días. Estoy aquí con el alcalde, Mayor Turner, para hablar de este equipo, este comité de profesionales y personas que tienen varias experiencias en diferentes aspectos. Las personas que se van a encargar de manejar este equipo son la directora de eventos especiales, Susan Christensen, y el nuevo director de seguridad y justicia del condado, el señor Perry Turner Sr. Entonces, el trabajo aquí, y tenemos varios personas, ambos del condado y la ciudad, que van a trabajar junto como un equipo para revisar las prácticas de eventos especiales, eventos deportivos, conciertos, eventos de todas clases que se están llevando a cabo alrededor de los Estados Unidos y si no, alrededor del mundo, para asegurar que los eventos que estamos llevando a cabo aquí en nuestra región son los eventos más seguros, más sanos para las personas atendiendo y asegurando que las prácticas que estamos implementando para coordinar estos eventos son las mejores prácticas que la industria nos puede brindar. Entonces, yo estoy aquí para anunciar que el alcalde y yo hemos trabajado duro para asegurar que estamos enfocados en el futuro. Obviamente hay cosas que han sucedido en el pasado, pero es importante también enfocarnos en los eventos que todavía no han venido y asegurar que todos los eventos que vengan, sea en la ciudad de Houston o en el territorio de las afueras de la ciudad, en las áreas afuera del condado, lleguen a estar bien coordinadas con aspectos de seguridad, aspectos de primer auxilio, aspectos de coordinación y comunicación entre los dos mayor vecinos de esta región, la ciudad de Houston y el condado de Harris. ¿Preguntas?
¿Cómo surge la idea de crear esta fuerza de la ciudad de Houston con el precinto?
Pues el condado y la ciudad de Houston somos vecinos. Entonces, obviamente, reconociendo que el evento que sucedió, la tragedia que sucedió, fue parte de la razón de por cuál pensar en este trabajo. No solamente decir, pues eso sucedió dentro de la ciudad de Houston, pero debemos de enfocarnos también cómo el condado puede aprender de la ciudad de Houston. Hace poco mencioné que los sitios más reconocidos, sea el Astrodome, sea el NRG, el estadio NRG, sea el Toyota Center, son los eventos más reconocidos que tienen mayor práctica en llevar a cabo conciertos, eventos deportivos, el rodeo, lo que sea. El condado no tiene esa misma experiencia en un modo regular. Entonces, yo quiero asegurar que el condado también está aprendiendo de la ciudad de Houston para asegurar que nuestro proceso, nuestra forma de dar permisos es lo mejor posible, pero también estudiar lo que está sucediendo alrededor de los Estados Unidos y si no, el mundo. Mira, también mencioné que esta ciudad ha trabajado duro para lograr ser huésped de un evento olímpico. Algún día lo vamos a lograr. Y cuando eso sucede, este equipo nos va a asegurar que vamos a estar listos para esa oportunidad de tener un evento olímpico sucediendo aquí en el condado de Harris y en nuestra región.
Gracias, para de las palabras.
Mayor Francis Page from Houston Style Magazine.
Yes, Frank.
Wondering if there's going to be a website set up that addresses the permitting and all of that for both of them, so event producers could go there first and register, or how is this going to logistically work? Maybe Susan, yeah.
Well, we have a website for the city of Houston, and so what we'll be doing is comparing, what all of our policies are and making recommendations on how to best consolidate communication of all types.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioner Garcia, how much of the task force work will be figuring out what went wrong at Astro World, what coordination wasn't done?
Well, this task force is going to be futuristic. The investigation for the Astroworld event continues, so we certainly don't want to impede in that investigation. So they will run on that track. This one would be looking futuristically on how we can better coordinate seamlessly between the city and the county.
But if you don't know what went wrong in November, how can you fix that for next November?
Task force of this kind happens all the time. This is not unique. This is not different. It happens all the time. This will be no different. You can run on multiple tracks, and that's exactly what we will be doing here. But we're not going to impede on the investigation, because that is an investigation both on the criminal level as well. So we're not going to impede on the investigation.
And so, okay, all right.
Okay. All right. Any others? Thank you all so very much.